Did you know about twice as many women as men experience depression? I've been there myself, and if depression is something that you're struggling with, then please ask for help. No one should be suffering alone. I'm Martina, and I'm a gut health expert. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the connection between depression and the gut, and what you can do about it. So please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay in the loop when new content is published. Let's dive in. There's a really important connection between our gut and our brain, and I'm sure you've intuitively noticed this. You know that feeling of butterflies in your tummy when you're nervous or excited? Or if you're anything like me, you suddenly have the urge to poop right before public speaking. Come on, I'm not the only one, right? Anyways, the gut-brain connection goes both ways. Our brain and our gut are in constant communication, and they're connected by an information highway known as the vagus nerve. Our brain can influence our gut, and our gut can influence our brain. In fact, the gut is even referred to as the second brain because the number of nerves in our gut actually outnumbers our spinal cord. It's pretty interesting and something that you should definitely care about if you ever deal with mood imbalances like depression. Another example of the gut-brain connection is that those with irritable bowel syndrome tend to have far higher rates of mental illness. So earlier I mentioned that women are more likely to experience depression, and this is likely due to a more delicate hormonal system in females. But please know that the information that I'm going to be sharing with you is absolutely useful for all genders. To better understand the connection between gut health and depression, it's important to have a basic understanding of inflammation. And science is showing that chronic inflammation is at the root of nearly every disease. Inflammation is linked to everything from metabolic disorders like obesity and diabetes to neurodegenerative diseases and cancer. So where does it come from? Inflammation stems from many sources, and lots being dietary. Sugar is one of the most inflammatory substances, particularly fructose and sucrose, which can actually spike insulin levels, triggering the release of inflammatory cytokines. It also creates damage like oxidative stress to our cells. And chemicals are another major cause of inflammation. This includes things like pesticides, environmental pollutants, hormone-modulating plastics. If you've ever heard of BPA in plastic like food containers, that's an endocrine disruptor. Also, cosmetic additives. Basically, there's lots of toxins getting into our bodies via ingestion or absorption through the skin that should not be getting in. And pathogens are another inflammation trigger. These include herbicides, gluten grains, genetically modified foods, which all promote intestinal permeability, also known as leaky gut syndrome. They also change our gut microbiome to facilitate the growth of pathogenic bacteria, yeast, and fungus, which keep our immune systems in a state of alarm. Stress is also a huge trigger for inflammation. So while the word stress itself can mean many things, it's ultimately the link between the hormones and inflammation. So whether we're talking physiological stress or psychological stress, both trigger the release of cortisol. And cortisol is the hormone that helps to mobilize blood sugar when we're in a state of fight or flight. Also, note that inflammation begins in the gut, since that's where most of the immune system is housed. So from there, inflammation can become systemic and can affect all areas of the body, especially the brain. So what does inflammation do to our gut and to our brain exactly? Basically, once inflammation is active, it's highly self-perpetuating. Inflammatory cytokines travel throughout the body, creating oxidative stress to our tissues, and more specifically, our mitochondria. Our mitochondria are energy producers, so when they're impacted by oxidative stress, we're going to have less energy. Not to mention, most of our mitochondria are in our brain. Also in the brain, inflammation makes it so that tryptophan, the chemical that's a precursor for serotonin and melatonin, our happy and sleepy neurotransmitters, is instead used for the production of anxiety-provoking chemicals like quinolate. So the result is depressive symptoms, including lethargy, sleep disturbances, decreased social activity, lower libido, and learning difficulties. I know this is quite sciencey, but I hope it's making sense so far. The main point is that depression is often a symptom of chronic inflammation. And because chronic inflammation stems from the gut and often the foods that we consume, then it makes sense that by creating a healthier gut with healthier food choices, we can improve symptoms of depression, right? That's the good news here. And you can make dietary changes and lifestyle changes to improve depression. This is something that I've done myself. So there's no use in blaming your genetics or accepting that you were just born with low serotonin, right? As Dr. Kelly Brogan says, it's more likely that you're experiencing an unhealthy inflammatory balance driven by cortisol dysfunction and stemming from a sick gut. So let's talk a bit more about serotonin. It's often called the feel-good hormone, although it acts as both a hormone and a neurotransmitter in our body. So low mood, depression, anxiety, and even autism are associated with altered serotonin levels. And what's interesting here is that our gut is the primary site of serotonin production. Serotonin is produced by the cells that line the digestive tract. Also, our gut bacteria can influence serotonin levels, both directly and indirectly. So in the lab, certain gut bacteria have been shown to produce their own serotonin. Gut bacteria can also interact with the nervous system to alter its production of neurotransmitters. And microbes can even alter the availability of tryptophan, which is the amino acid building block required for serotonin. So I'm a bit of a nerd. Learning about this stuff is kind of exciting for me, and I hope that you're enjoying it as well. Anyways, nourishing a strong gut-brain connection means taking a holistic approach to well-being. So taking steps to manage stress, exercise, eat a healthy diet, and even taking a daily probiotic. These are all going to help you to build a healthier, more resilient mind and body. And remember that when we eat highly processed foods, our gut cells set off the alarm of inflammation. Unfortunately, many people are unknowingly eating inflammatory foods like gluten and dairy. These foods often cause allergic reactions that are too mild for most people to notice, but the effects of inflammation are definitely still present. Sugar, artificial sweeteners, and casein proteins, which are found in dairy, have also been shown to activate inflammation. This is one of the biggest reasons that I recommend incorporating more anti-inflammatory foods into your diet, such as omega-3 fatty acids from fish like wild-caught salmon, walnuts, or hemp seeds. Turmeric is an amazing anti-inflammatory spice that can be added to soups, chicken, or veggies, or even whipped up into a turmeric latte. Increasing your dosage of antioxidants can help combat that oxidative stress that's created by inflammation. And my favorite ways to get these guys in is via organic dark chocolate and blueberries. And of course, eating a variety of high fiber vegetables like asparagus, cabbage, and mushrooms, these are all going to help as well. I truly hope you found this video helpful, and if you haven't already, please give it a thumbs up. If you are seeking help from a doctor for your depression, I strongly urge you to find one that recognizes depression as a symptom, not a disease. Therefore, they should be treating the root cause, which is inflammation. I'm wishing you all the best on your health journey, and please leave me a comment with any questions that you have, or also let me know which topic you'd like me to talk about next. And I will see you next time.